I want all of my awesome friends to know all my awesome friends.
You are listening to Living Out Loud with Melissa, a podcast that provides encouragement, empowerment, and educates people to live their best lives through frank and honest conversations with everyday people in their everyday lives.
I started living in your dream, like in your goal. Signing the card before I changed my mind.
Right.
And dream building and making goals and running for it. My goal is to look and feel better at my 5-year anniversary than I did when I got married. I want to get my girlfriends together, have coffee. You guys can meet my friends, hear a little bit about their story, what they're all about. Why don't we just try to surround ourselves with awesomeness?
Yeah, and encourage one another.
Whatever your goals are. And do it with realness, you guys. Really dive into what somebody's goals are.
Host Melissa Johnson welcomes you to have humbly, open, and honest conversations with yourself and your co-hosts. Because life, it isn't always perfect. It isn't always fair. But that doesn't mean that you can't take back control.
Being a coach, you're never perfect. Like, I struggle with stuff too. I ate ribs this weekend and it was awesome.
Together with our co-host, Dr. Kimberly Elise, they try to impart and gain wisdom themselves and hope to pass it on to you, dear listener.
I reached out to her and how, she's changing my life.
You're changing your own life. I'm just cheerleading you along the way. Like, go get it, girl.
Yeah.
Go get it. I have an old soul, my mom always says.
Your mom's the wonderfulest.
I'm trying to think what my next platform would be to be able to reach out to more people.
Because it's one thing to keep dreaming, but it frustrates you when you dream and you don't know what to do next with your dream.
Thank you. And I always talk about what you have to do, and then sometimes myself I struggle, but I knew it was coming. It was boiling, like I've been feeling it. I've been thinking about it.
And so now it's time for you to take. So Living Out Loud with Melissa.
Is that the name of the page?
That's the name
That's
of the
the
page.
name.
She's working at Living Out Loud with Melissa. It's a nonprofit for the purpose of spreading cheer to the world around her. And she does that through empowering women and men to live their very best optimal life. That's where she works.
Well, hello, Kimberly.
Hi, Melissa. It's so good to be here with you and with everyone else for our very first podcast. How exciting is that?
I'm really excited to have you. And so today, really, I think our first podcast has to come with like where we've been, what Living Out Loud's all about, where we're going to go. And I'm kind of really excited about everything that's happened because well, let's do a little bit of history.
Let's do history.
So for me personally, I have a lot of experience. I started leadership about 10, 12 years ago. I dived into some leadership, and throughout the years, I've always dreamed about wanting to do something with my gifts, which have been just to love on people. And it's been really interesting to figure out how you use that.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like make it something that's tangible for people to see. So it's kind of fun because recently somebody shared with me that I shared this dream with them like 10 years ago. Karen, you get to meet Karen, right? Karen, she inspired me 10 years ago. She's a nonprofit owner herself, and she was doing amazing things with the homeless community. And 10 years ago, I said, you know what, one day, I'm going to have a nonprofit and I want to be awesome like you. So that's 10 years ago was like the seed that was planted. And so fast forward, right? Like life takes you through these journeys, and we've met each other. You and I met each other in a different leadership business, right? Yeah. Which was God.
God put it all together.
God put it all together. And we learned a lot. And so fast forward, one day you were having coffee with me at my house.
That's right.
And I had been sharing on my morning talk show that I do on my personal Facebook about this dream that I had, or my goals. And so you had thought that it was already something that had been written down.
I really did. I thought it was a done deal.
Because you had been listening to me talk about it. And so I looked at you and I was like, nope, it's not written down. And you, that day, I found out that you were a consultant for a nonprofit.
Yeah. But that day was so pivotal though. I had no idea then, and you hadn't remembered that this was something that you didn't birth that day. It was really planted in you by God a decade ago.
Yeah.
So when you think, can you imagine a decade ago, the Melissa back then, what was it exactly that you wanted to do?
I just wanted to make the world a better place. I love to see people smile. I love to be kind and generous. And it's just, I've always had a heart to love on people.
Yeah.
Like always. And so when I seen Karen loving on people, serving the homeless community, I was like, one day I want to do something like this.
Yeah.
But I never knew what that would be. So 10 years ago, you're right. It kind of has been something that happened. And then, you know, I kind of tell a lot of people, you need people around you to help you go through the journey, right? Like go through the journey. And so I really think, you know, that was instrumental with us for that day, because you were able to be like, oh, here's Melissa's dream. Let's write it down on paper and kind of like make it a reality.
So what was it? And I know a little bit, but for all of our new audience and the folks that are joining us on this Living Out Loud journey, what is it when you began to really put it down? What is it that Living Out Loud does?
So we motivate, encourage, and empower people to live their best lives possible. Strengthen, encourage, show people what their strengths are, help them with their weaknesses. And the goal long term, what I can see is, what if we did that with 1 million people?
That'd be amazing.
What if 1 million people realized what their dreams were, what their strengths were, and owned it and did something with it? You know what I mean? So my strength is to bring people together and to love and encourage and motivate. So that's what I do. I bring people together. I let them know how amazing they are. And a lot of times you can't see it within yourself, right?
Absolutely.
You need somebody to kind of...
You're super good with that. Like, you're super good with seeing through the shell or seeing through the current reality to the core, and then helping, you know, share your glasses, your vision with people. Like you literally can take off your glasses and say, okay, look through my eyes, what I see. And until you believe it, I'm going to keep seeing it, and treating you like that until you catch up. And so that's one of the things that you do so beautifully, because you capture in different ways and different, and love and kindness is something that doesn't necessarily, is not just targeted to one thing or one type of business. You can love somebody no matter what their goal is.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. It wasn't meant for just one group or target group of people. Like, I wanted to do it with the whole world. Like, like, let's just do it with the whole world.
Happy feels for the whole world.
Everybody listen.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
So okay, so that day when we kind of, you know, wrote it down, what happened next?
So you literally looked at me, and I don't know what it was that day, but it stuck with me. You said, if you follow this plan that we wrote down, it'd be happening in 30 days. I said, 30 days? No way. And literally 29 days later, the state of Michigan recognized Living Out Loud as a legit nonprofit.
Yeah. But deeper than people form businesses all the time and then don't do anything. You just interviewed a leader who had like a business for years and years and years, and he just kept knowing it's going to come to pass. It's going to come to pass. And so he held on to it until it's coming to pass. But you were different. You didn't sit around and wait. Something was different about Melissa that made this organization not just recognized by the state, but you went to work.
Oh yeah. I'm always like that though. When I do something, I'm going to do it. So it was a thing that's been brewing for 10 years. But now that it's down on paper and it's like a real thing, it was kind of like, now what am I going to do with this blessing that God's given me and the people he's put around me? Like, I got to get to work. You know what I mean? So yeah, July 22nd was when it officially was recognized by the state of Michigan, and we went to work.
We did. And how, I want to pause because again, I know some of the story, you know, and so you were uniquely positioned where you had the time to go to work. Like you faced a real disappointment. And I think people need to understand that sometimes closed doors isn't the end. It's literally God saying enough of that so you can do this. Like, do you remember that kind of tension.
I do, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because when you're in it, it's really strong, and then when you get through it, you kind of forget about those moments. But it was huge. So I, during COVID and what's been going on, especially, my heart was brewing a lot, because it was a time where the world was losing hope. Yes. People were getting frustrated, like people around them were dying, like people just needed love and encouragement. And I really feel like, when God just makes things happen at the right time. So, and Living Out Loud with Melissa was forming. I was working at a restaurant during that time, and I was helping them out, get through the COVID and deal with that stuff. But when I tell you my last day, I was going through there, people were very angry. It was getting to be a hostile environment. Like, it just was not.
The customers, not necessarily the workers.
No.
The public.
The public.
Yeah,
just the public. Absolutely. Buddies was great to us during that time. Absolutely. Yeah. And it was just not setting right with me. Like, I didn't want to be in the environment anymore. So my last day was Father's Day, Sunday, June 19th was Father's Day. And you happened to be coming to my house.
We had already scheduled it. Didn't know that was going to be your last day.
Didn't have any.
You go to work. Some stuff went down, and I think it's important.
I did know. It was my last day. Yep, that was my last day. But I had no idea.
You hadn't shared it though.
What I was going to be doing.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what I was going to.
Because I show up on the Monday, and I'm like, and you're like, yeah, my last day was yesterday, and we were like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah. And during that conversation. Yeah. Is when you were like, you don't have it figured out yet. Let's write it down on paper.
And just to go back, I think it's important that we distinguish that it was a public, because in the context of you wanting to change the whole world, how about the world literally had a huge temper tantrum? Like, that's what, like, everybody collectively in 2020 said, it's not going the way I want it, and so I'm going to melt down. Like, some people held off a little longer than others, but everybody collectively had a temper tantrum and needed a hug.
They did, girl. I was literally, I would cut hearts out at work at Buddies, and I would write love notes on them and put them on their pizza box every time.
I love that.
So I would go into work early. We would write notes, tape them onto the pizza boxes. So they got
some Living Out Loud.
They did. I was like, somebody just smile. Have a good day.
Yeah. And so right when, at the really apex of when the world really needed some positivity, that's when Living Out Loud was the 10-year Impact Nation, this birthing kind of growing kind of thing. 10 years later, it's like, now's the time, and here you are.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you've done since? So at this point, you're no longer working in the restaurant. The world is collectively having a meltdown, needs a timeout and a hug, and Living Out Loud comes. And have you done anything since you've been recognized?
Yeah, so we've done quite a few things, which has been really exciting. Just a few. One of the first things that we started doing, we made T-shirts that have our logo on them. So that was really cool. We did a T-shirt fundraiser. The other things that we have done, Stacy Deering, which is one of our amazing, shout out
to Dr. Stacy Deering.
Yes, shout out. She's actually, what do we say? You got to come in and use your strengths. Stacy is a PhD. She's working on her dissertation right now for that in urban politics.
And she's amazing.
She's so amazing. And one of her strengths was this time of the year was to teach people how to vote and the history of voting and what it meant and how to use your voice. And so she came on and did that with us.
And the good thing about her is because you're a 501c3 as well. So not only are you recognized by the state, but you're recognized by the federal government as a 501c3. So as a 501c3, you understood that you couldn't be partisan. And so the brilliance of Dr. Stacy Deering was that she's grounded enough to give an impartial, unbiased, hey, here's information about the history of how we got here in America, and here's how every individual person can use their voice in a very helpful, hopeful, positive, collective way. And she wanted to do that through Living Out Loud because she connected her passion of teaching to your vision of empowering people.
Exactly.
So it was a perfect marriage.
It was amazing. So she did 2 different worksheets for us.
She did.
Which was amazing. And then she spent her time and created, we called it the cheat sheet, which was awesome. And she encouraged people that had never voted before through Living Out Loud to vote for their very first time, which, I mean, if Living Out Loud didn't do anything, you know, we did. We know that it had somebody vote.
So you're already building your organizational resume.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of cool?
It's amazing.
Like you literally can start writing down some things that successes, how you change lives. So, okay. So you did the voting webinar, you did you launched with a fundraiser, you did a voting webinar. What else have you done?
This was the funnest so far. It's fun. Yeah, this was great. We did for my birthday, which was November 9th. Every single year I do Flowers for Smiles. So I've always, with my little heart, had bought some flowers on my birthday, went out and just passed them out to random strangers. So this year, Living Out Loud, I asked all my friends and family to join with me. And I was like, you guys, we can make an impact. 5 states, including Michigan, participated. It was so amazing.
It was amazing.
You participated. There were so many different amazing stories that came from that. One of them was my Aunt Gail.
Yeah.
I love this story. I know. So she lives in Mississippi, all the way in past Christian, Mississippi. And she handed out roses with our tags on them. And she passed it out to a woman who sent me a text message. And she said, I just want you to know how special I feel to be part of your birthday celebration.
Nice.
And I want you to know I passed your flower forward to this 89-year-old woman whose birthday was yesterday. And she sent me a picture of the 2 of them with their big cheeks.
Yay. It still gives me goosebumps. Like I still get all the warm fuzzies when I hear about how not only did you, by you doing something selfless, cause a mobilization of Living Out Loud agents, but then it duplicated itself and people who had never even met you began to pass it forward too, which is how we're going to get to that million people.
Exactly.
So talk to me about podcasts and what are we sharing? What if somebody hears this, in replay or live, or they come back and they want to come back every time you have something to say, what is it that they're going to come listen to?
So my goal is to get them out of the crazy world for a little bit. Just bring a little bit of love, encouragement, joy. I'm fun to listen to.
You are. That's a truism. That's a real truism.
I started doing that little morning coffee with Melissa in the mornings when COVID happened, and it really allowed people to just for a few minutes turn off the world. Yeah. Just for a few minutes. And I just want to come on and, dream with you guys and set goals with you and just encourage and motivate. We're going to have different topics all the time. So I don't,
all the time. It's going to be a little bit of everything. Yeah. And how to see with those positive lenses. I wanted to go, you said something when you were talking about the t-shirt fundraiser, and you talked about you had your logos printed on there. Can you talk about the logo and what that means?
Yeah. So look at the logo. It's right there. Boom.
Yeah, there it is.
So as you guys can see, it's 2 hands holding a heart made with a fingerprint. And so I just want to literally, it just shows living, touching somebody's heart and leaving your fingerprint on somebody's heart, just loving and leaving your fingerprint on somebody's heart. So that's kind of what that means. It makes me smile every time I think about it, because we do it all the time. And just recently I interviewed a gentleman. You asked me earlier about little things that I've done. Living Out Loud has blessed a lot of people so far, and it's been stinking incredible. I got all emotional the other day thinking about it, but I helped an 80-year-old man who has had this dream of this business that he's had for 30 years shelved. He pays for the renewal every year for his business, and he just hasn't had all of the opportunity and knowledge to do it. So he was finally ready. He joined us on the Dream Board workshop, shared his dream with us there, had everything he wanted. He just says, Melissa, I don't know how to use Facebook. I said, I can help you with Facebook.
Yeah.
So I went to his house a couple times. I showed him the first time, then I let him do it the second time, and then I just threw him out there and I interviewed him the other day, and he is so happy, like to see his heart just like, it was like a relief to see it, and my husband who's doing amazing things right now because he says, I've been watching you, he says, and you tell people that you need to have a purpose and you need to do something with your strength. So now he's created this platform to educate people how to communicate and do it in love and respect. And it's Stacy's able to use her strengths and living out loud. Like, it's just been amazing. And it's only been since July 22nd.
July 22nd. Well, I'm glad you went there and talking about your husband, because as we live out loud with Melissa, it's important that we know who Melissa is. Like, who is Melissa? Who comes with her? And you are married.
I am married.
And you're a fur mom.
I am 2 fur babies.
2 fur babies. So talk to us about family and what that means to you.
I've always been a family girl. My mom and I are like best friends. She's the awesomest, right?
She's the awesomest. I created that word just for her mom.
She's the awesomest. So family's always been huge. My mom and dad have been, they were high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
Married for, how old am I? 40 years.
Okay.
So that's been great. Johnny and I have been married for 5 years now.
Yay.
And
that's awesome.
He's amazing. He's really amazing. And we've grown so much. It always hasn't been easy, right? Yeah. Which I share a lot with as well. But it's been so right, And recently you and I went in we went on a ride and we rescued a little dog.
We rescued
Fernando.
Yeah.
So I talk about my husband and my dogs a lot.
But now Fernando is dog number 2
in my house.
In your house.
Yeah.
Who's dog number 1?
Puppers.
We can't forget Puppers. Like, I don't know if Puppers would ever hear this.
He probably will.
So we need to make sure Puppers gets love too. So Puppers is older.
He's the VP.
He's the VP.
And then Fernando's just the associate.
That's the associate. But Fernando is pretty aggressive, so he's gonna move up.
He definitely demands your attention.
Yeah.
Like Johnny said earlier today, treats to Puppers is like love to Fernando. Like,
okay. Yeah.
Like Fernando will push up on you to get some love, and Puppers will force you to feed him a treat. So that's how it is.
They have their own love languages.
They don't. Oh man.
See. So listen, it is gonna be so good to check in to the podcast. If I understand correctly, we've got the YouTube channel. There's a Facebook page. There's going to be so many ways to connect with you. What are some things that are maybe coming up that, if somebody's hearing this and is like, I want to get involved, what are some of your ongoing projects that's coming?
I'm really excited now is Letters of Love. That's the big project that we're working on right now. So if you are interested in joining with Living Out Loud with Melissa, we're going to be sending letters of love to first, second, third responders. And we're going to pass them out maybe to nursing homes, hospitals. I'm pretty excited about it, but I think everybody needs a little bit of encouragement right now, and just writing an old fashioned, I call it love note to somebody will change their day. And in doing so, it makes your day better too.
Oh my goodness.
That's so true.
Being able to leave a fingerprint and to impact the world in a positive way is so important in this season. Is there anything else that you want us to know about you or Living Out Loud, leaving a fingerprint? Yeah,
I just want you guys to show up. Like, just show up, because you don't know how important you are and where your fingerprints go. So if you show up every day and are intentional about loving somebody else, man, you make a big difference in this world, and you wouldn't even know it. It's just like a wave that just keeps on going. So I just want you guys to show up, be awesome, and have a good day. I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
I don't. I think Living Out Loud with Melissa is an awesome opportunity. I didn't know if you wanted to do any kind of like encouragement as we head out here, and we're look forward to joining you next time.
I think that's it for today.
Living Out Loud with Melissa, supported by the generous donations of partners and friends. We invite you to share hope and leave your fingerprint by supporting our work. Find us on Facebook or visit our website at www.livingoutloudwithmelissa.com, or write us at P.O. Box 939, Union Lake, Michigan, 483 387. We appreciate donations by Cash App at #LOL with Melissa.